Hello, I'm Garnet, this is Eggs. Harvest Moon, A Wonderful Life for GameCube, A Wonderful Life Special Edition for PlayStation 2, and Another Wonderful Life for GameCube again are farming and life simulation games developed by Marvelous Interactive. They're part of the series known as Bokujo Monogatari in Japan, formerly localized as Harvest Moon and currently localized as Story of Seasons. These three are slightly different versions of the same game. In A Wonderful Life, you play as a boy, marry one of 3 bachelorettes, and have a son. Special Edition adds an extra bachelorette and the ability to have a daughter. Another Wonderful Life is the girl version where you marry one of 3 bachelors. Sons only in this one, though. Those are the biggest differences between these games. The story for the boy versions, it starts out with Takakura talking to your deceased father somehow. I don't remember if it specifies how he's doing that. He explains how he went to see you one day, and since you didn't really have a direction in life, he told you about your father's farm in Forget-Me-Not Valley, and you wanted to give it a try even though you don't know anything about farming. The story for the girl is, instead of him contacting you, you sent him a letter asking questions about the farm and decided that you wanted to try it out. And then Takakura brings you there and introduces you to some of the people in the valley and shows you around the farm. You can finally start on your farm and choose which candidate you'll woo. Gameplay and controls. The gameplay is very unusual for the Bokumono series. So if you think you know what to expect from playing any other game in the series, no. First of all, there are chapters. Each chapter is a different stage in you and your family's life. In Special Edition and Another, each chapter is 1 year, and in the first version of the game, most chapters are longer, which makes the game feel way too long for some people. There's 6 chapters in total, so it'll be 6 years that you're playing in Another in Special Edition, but it's way, way longer in the original. And there is an ending. Crops aren't very important, especially in the first one, where there is no shipping bin for crops. The second 2 both have crop bins added in though. You can still sell crops to Van in all versions, but money from Van doesn't get added to where Takakura keeps track of what you've earned and spent. Crops are still good for gifts and of course for cooking though. I always grow something, no matter what game I'm playing. There are 3 different fields for you to plant crops in, with different qualities of soil. The field closer to your house has the worst soil, and the one furthest away has the best, and the middle one is in the middle. The best field will be available at the beginning of the first version, but you'll have to pay to have it cleared out to be usable in the other 2. I like to plant fruit trees in the 2 fields with lower soil qualities, but until you get the 3rd field, you'll have to keep room somewhere for your other crops. The soil quality doesn't really matter too much unless you're growing hybrids. Your crop quality, not the soil quality, but your crop quality is actually increased only by using fertilizer that you buy from Vesta's farm. To start planting, you'll want to immediately go on over to Vesta's farm, because Takakura actually didn't give you enough seeds to start with. After you buy the seeds, you can check their description in your rucksack to see what seasons they should be planted in and their growth speed. Since crops can take a lot of time to take care of, I wouldn't bother planting more than 10 of each crop that you can plant for whatever season. Even that many can be too much once you start messing with hybrids. And make sure you plant as soon as you can at the start of the season, because each season is only 10 days long in these games. You'll already have a hoe you can use to till the fields before you plant, and a watering can, which you fill up at the water thingy next to the chicken coop outside. You'll want to water your crops twice per day, in the morning, and then after they dry in the afternoon or evening is good. You can only till, plant, and water by 1 square at a time. If you have room, I suggest planting them in straight rows with empty rows in between them for you to walk. You can walk over crops, but it will be bumpy and annoying to deal with. Since I've already mentioned hybrids a couple times, make friends with Takakura, and in chapter 2 or later, keep checking inside his house. You might meet someone unusual in there. I think it helps to order something from Takakura to trigger this, and to check in the evening around 6 or 7 p.m. The exact requirements aren't totally clear, so keep checking. I've always been able to do it in chapter 2. After unlocking this someone, talk to them a whole bunch, and eventually you'll be able to combine 2 seeds or crops to make hybrid seeds. For tools, you'll start out with a few already in your tool shed. There are more you can order from Takakura, and some you can get by befriending characters and then walking into the right place at the right time. There might be something you can get from Van, I think. Maybe, was there like fishing rod? I don't remember. You might get something from Van. There are no tool upgrades, but instead just different versions of the same tools. There is no lumber or material stone, so there are no axes or hammers. I know that's weird. Animals. For animals, let's talk about pets first. You will get a choice between the usual beagle dog and a pointy-eared dog at the beginning of the game. You have to pick one, and you can't have both. No matter what you've heard or what you do, that one dog you pick is the only dog you can own in this game. You can't get the Chihuahua. No Chihuahua. The other pet you can get is the black cat from befriending Romana. Romana? Is that how you say her name? That's it. That's all of your pets now. You can't get her other 2 cats. No raccoon or tanuki, no lizard, no turtle, no owl. All of these animals exist, but they will never be your pets. Anything you've heard about getting them is absolutely made up. Anyway, you can feed both your dog and your cat in your dog's bowl, which will make them like you, so make sure you always refill it so they both get to eat. But even if you don't feed them, pets are immortal anyway. They can't die, they won't starve. Farm animals and poultry, however, are not immortal. For the animals in the barn, cut the grass in the pasture with your sickle, and it will become fodder for you to put in your feed bins, in their feed bins. You can also give them the fodder directly, or let the animals outside so they'll eat the uncut grass. The grass needs to be fertilized once in another and special edition in order for it to start growing, then it'll grow forever. That's dumb to me, but make sure you fertilize at least some. You can't leave your animals outside all the time. If it rains on them, they'll get sick. If they get sick either from the rain or from starvation, you can order animal medicine from Takakura. Order some ahead of time because you won't receive it immediately. If you go without giving your sick animal medicine, they'll die. The good fodder you can order from Takakura is only for increasing the quality of an animal's product. It cannot replace regular fodder. To be clear, do give them good fodder if they need it, but do not only give them good fodder, they'll starve. The poultry in the coop need to eat the chicken feed you can order from Takakura, so keep plenty of that around. They can't eat fodder or grass, and they can feed themselves if you leave them outside. They can also get sick and die just like the barn animals. In the barn, you'll start out with 1 normal cow. You can order normal, brown, marble, and star cows and bulls. There are bulls because you can breed your cows in this game. Actually, you have to breed them because they'll eventually run out of milk and need to have a baby to make more. With only 8 spaces in the barn, you'll end up selling a lot of their children. A good source of income though. Cow milk can be shipped in the bin in that room. If you buy a food processing room, you can turn milk into cheese and butter and ship that out too. Sheep can be ordered from Takakura. You can't breed them or ship their wool, but you can sell the wool to Van. And golden wool isn't hard to get if you keep your sheep clean. You can use a brush on all your barn animals, and if you push them or get them to follow you over to that water place outside, you can wash them. They get dirty out there, and you'll get lower quality wool if you shear a dirty sheep. Sheep are cute, so I like to keep one if I have the room. You'll be given a free horse at some point by Takakura, and you'll get around a lot faster if you ride it. It can't get sick from the rain, but you do need to feed it because it still can starve. You can't breed it. There is no baby horse, even though there's a picture one on the cover of another. The last barn animal is 1 single goat you can buy from Van in Chapter 3. It will give you milk just like the cows, but you can't breed it, so it's all done once it runs out. In the first version, you can't sell the goat. So the only way to clear up that space well, I've never done that myself though. For the coop, you can order chickens and roosters. You'll just need to buy one of each, and the rest you can hatch for free from their fertilized eggs. Not all chicken eggs will be fertilized. You only need one rooster total, so if your heart can bear it, sell all the others that hatch and just keep the hens. You'll make the most money that way. You can also get ducks. If you buy the pond and have enough room in your coop, ducks will one day show up there. But the thing is, duck eggs will show up under chickens. You'll be getting less eggs like this. I feel like that must have been some sort of mistake. And that's it. You can't get any other type of animal. Oh, and no animals will die from old age, just from neglect. Foraging. There are a few things you can do to fill the time when you're not farming, like foraging. Wild plants and flowers can be found growing around the valley, different ones for each season. You can pick them and sell them to Van, use them for gifts, or eat them. If they're not flowers, you can't eat the flowers. My pets usually get fed those plants, and most marriage candidates are easily wooed to flowers. Fishing. I kinda like fishing in this one, because the water's so pretty, but it's very time consuming. It can make you a nice amount of money by selling fish to Van, but I really like having the fish for food. Having a fridge full of fish and vegetables when I have an actual kitchen makes me feel like I'm taking good care of my family. Dig site. At the dig site, you can borrow a scoop from Carter and dig up things. These items make good gifts or can be sold to Van. It's like in the mines in most Pokemono, but a bit different. It's all in one room, and you can also dig up 5 tablets that Carter will keep. 1 for each chapter, except for the last chapter. A 6th tablet doesn't exist, and absolutely nothing happens when you get all 5. No, you will not get the Chihuahua. You will never get the Chihuahua. Festivals. The festivals aren't too great in these. There's very few, and you don't do anything or bring anything with you. You can't bring a date or your family either. It feels really weird to me to go to the Harvest Festival when I'm married to Celia, because Celia's there, I'm there, we're having a meal together, but where's our son? Minigames. There are a few minigames. They have nothing to do with festivals, and they all surprised me when I triggered them. I like the milk drinking one. One of the minigames has like a spoiler, I can't tell you what they all are. The other one is a game you play with the Fireworks Brothers, though, whatever. That's what I call them. Oh, and the milk drinking one, you go into the inn and do you drink against anyone besides Rock? I don't remember. Anyway, marriage. Marriage is not optional in the Wonderful Life games. You will be married by the end of the first year. Raise the affection of one of the marriage candidates by talking to them and giving them gifts. There are several hard events for you to see as well. Sometime during the summer, I think, Nick, Knack, and Flack will find a blue feather and give it to you. This is the usual Bokemono proposal item. If a candidate is ready to marry you, they'll accept the feather. So what happens if you fail to give the blue feather to anyone? Whoever has the most affection for you will show up and still give you the option to marry them anyway. If you say no, game over. Child. In the second chapter, you will have a toddler child. They will always be a son unless you have special edition and ask the pot to have a daughter. That's a sentence. Raising your child to be the way you want is the biggest part of the game. This child will grow up each chapter until they become an adult, and by the end of the game, they'll have chosen one of 6 careers: farmer, rancher, athlete, artist, musician, or scholar. If they become a farmer or rancher, they'll inherit your farm. Your child has interests and skills, and what they start out leaning towards depends on how you married, on who you married. For example, Celia's child will be the easiest to make into a farmer, but you can change that. Everything you do will influence your child's future career. A big way to have an effect on it is by befriending specific characters and avoiding others. Befriending Cody can make your kid want to be an artist. You'll know you've become someone's friend if they turn their head when you walk past each other. The little everyday things you do matter too. If you want your kid to be an athlete, run everywhere you go instead of using your horse. Show your child items that have to do with the career you're aiming for. Want a scholar? Show them things from the dig site. The toys you buy for their toy box has an effect too. Just about everything does something, so you should research carefully if you're after something specific. If you want me to cover this in more detail later, I'll consider it. Your son may also get a crush on either Lumina or Kate, and your daughter might like Hugh. And yes, when I say Lumina, I do mean the same Lumina that you can marry in Special Edition. A little odd. Anyway, you might trigger an event where they'll tell you about this crush. Alright, characters. Let's introduce our lovely marriage candidates. We have Celia, 26 years old. A kind, hardworking girl that lives and works on Vesta's farm with Vesta and Marlin. She's a sweetheart who loves flowers and vegetables. Her diary is at her bed upstairs at Vesta's place. Muffy, 30 years old. She works at the Blue Bar with Griffin, but you can't actually buy drinks when she's working alone. She's friendly and flirty and loves flowers and moon ore. Her diary is where that potted plant is at the Blue Bar. Nami, 28 years old. She's staying at the Inner Inn and doesn't have a job. She's not big on socializing and is the hardest girl to woo. She loves fall flowers and coins from the dig site. Her diary is sitting on the table in her room. Lumina, 18 years old in the localized version of Special Edition. That's where you can marry her. She's 14 originally, but she was aged up to 16 in the Japanese version of Special Edition and then got aged up to 18 when localized. She still looks like her 14-year-old self while you're wooing her. She's Romana's granddaughter who is living in the villa and is learning to play the piano. She's nice and a bit shy and likes flowers and moon ore. Her diary is at her jewelry box on the table where she keeps her stuffed animals. Marlin, 32 years old. He works on Vesta's farm with his sister Vesta and crush Celia. He's a shy, kind of grumpy guy who suffers from some unknown illness. He likes milk, eggs, and those medicines you can buy from Van that I don't have much other use for. His diary is at a potted plant next to his bed. Rock, 22 years old. Ruby and Tim's son, who may or may not be adopted. He lives at the Inner Inn and refuses to work. He's very friendly and just wants to have fun. He likes toy flowers and Miss Moonflowers. His diary? His diary's on a table in there. I know I took a picture of where his diary is, but I'm not picturing it while I'm recording this. I'm just gonna say. His diary is on a table in his room. Gustafa, 28 years old. He lives in a yurt and sits by a tree to play his lute. He has a bunch of other instruments at home too. A little strange and very chill. I'd say he's the most romantic of the bachelors. He likes flowers and most things from the dig site. His diary is on his couch. Or in his couch. His diary is in his couch. Graphics. I love how this game looks. The world is so detailed and realistic. It's beautiful. I especially love the spring area and how the big flower lamps light up at night. The animals also look more realistic than in most Pokemono. I adore these chickens. And as much as I love bubble cows, this is pretty great. The people don't look as great as they do in my memory from when I was a little kid, but they're still great. Muffy is still beautiful. Music and sounds. Just like in real life, music doesn't play unless you're near or inside a building that's playing music. Might sound like I'm questioning everything music. There are records so that you can change or turn off the music that plays on your farm. You start out with 2 records, one that I personally like to play during spring and summer, and the other for fall and winter. But play them however you want, of course. If you want more records, you need a Game Boy Advance and a link cable and a copy of Harvest Moon, Friends of Mineral Town, or more Friends of Mineral Town, depending on which version. There's some other way for PS2, I think. Probably has something to do with befriending. I don't know. I'll put it on the screen if I figure it out. As for other sounds, this is a rare occasion where the characters have voices. Just little sighs, grunts, small things like that. It's not like any of their actual dialogue is voiced, but it's neat knowing how everyone sounds. There's a lot of peaceful nature sounds, birds, bugs, and water, though there's one loud wind sound at the path to Mineral Town. It's impossible to go up there, by the way, but that sound it makes gives some people the creeps. It never exactly scared me, but it always gave me some particularly, strange feeling. It's just wind. I have no idea why it gets to people the way it does. I feel like I'm about to write some sort of creepypasta or something. Replayability. Pretty replayable. I have a save for every candidate, and it's a fun challenge to try to get different careers for your kids. It's a little harder to replay the first one with the longer chapters though. Do I recommend? I absolutely recommend the GameCube versions. Not so much for the PlayStation 2 one because the lag is terrible, but I've heard it's better on PlayStation 3 and 4. And even though the bachelor options might be disappointing, I think Another One for Life is the best version overall. Alright, well that's the end. Hit the like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. And check out my Twitter and Patreon. I'll see you in the next one.